He is Robin Leech. He is Jay Marcken. This is Car Keys.
Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star. Baby, you can drive my car. And baby, I love you.
And I have a just a broader question. And it's funny because already Robin has one view, Jay has another. We already know this, and it has to do with Elon Musk. All right? And very simply, there are certain things that he is doing that, while visionary, aren't necessarily practical from a bottom line standpoint. And I just am curious what you think the outcome. Do you think that the car is going to? Do you think he's going to be able to get away with it? Do you think he is spread too thin?
Yes, I think he's going to be able to get away with the stupid things he does. Just because I think historically there are a lot of CEOs who do stupid side things or say things that they shouldn't.
And I should clarify, get away with by have a solvent car company.
This is for the cars that he's doing, not the rockets, not the
rockets,
underground
not
tunnels,
the hyperloops,
not the hyperloops.
This is the guy going in 70 years when we're sitting around the dinner table wherever we are.
I can't wait for that time frame. And we're going to be talking about amazing things in 70 years on this show.
Is Tesla going to be the Model T version, if you will, of
the electric car?
The electric car.
That's a good question. I will let Jay answer that because he's ready to speak.
I think that the Tesla we will certainly be speaking and talking about Tesla, and I think they have definitely changed the course of automotive history, or if not totally changed it, accelerated it, or provoked faster changes to occur. I mean, the technology is there. Others would have grabbed it eventually and developed it. And I think in the end, we will see electric cars. That there's no doubt in my mind about that. I'm not sure we will see only electric cars.
But we started with electric cars at one point, didn't we?
We didn't start.
Well,
there
not
were
start,
electric
but
cars way back then. There were
way
electric
back.
Correct.
Yep.
12-volt battery-powered cars.
So going back to Tesla and Elon Musk, I went through very quickly the second quarter financials, publication, and there's positive and negative. Yes, they're still losing money. They are losing
less money
because their gross margin it was down in the first two quarters and is back up again. Their gross margin on cars is not yet what it was last year. So the margins on Model 3s is not what it is on Model S's and Model X's. There are a number of reasons for that. They've had major production
startup
issues with the assembly lines, with suppliers, and that has affected their margins. Also, as we've discussed here before, I think, and Robin has brought it up, it's hard for Tesla to make money on base Model 3s. They need to sell the higher-end dual motors, all-wheel drive, high-performance, fully loaded Teslas.
Where the profits per car is way up over the base model cars.
Yes. And so there's a combination of that. Their margins are getting better. Their gross margins are back, for whatever that means, is back over 20%. It was 27%, I think, last year. So their overhead is still what's dragging them down. But there is a point where if they manage to increase production, which they are doing, and manage to control their overheads, there is a point where they could actually make money. And I know Elon Musk has said, and I heard that interview actually this morning. I was re-listening to the interview with the analysts that he has every quarter, the phone interview, and he's expecting to break even by Q1 or Q2 of next year.
Right.
It's a little ambitious.
Yeah, but the key to it all is getting its production levels up on the M Model 3 up to 5,000 to 7,000 plus a week, which is now happening, which means deliveries are occurring, which means the people who put down the $1,000 deposits are now putting down the $40,000 or $50,000 or $35,000.
So there is a way to bring money into
and
this.
that's coming in.
Okay.
Every sale is bringing in. I mean, the dealers buy the cars, I guess. I don't know when they pay for the
There's no
cars
dealers.
coming from Tesla.
Remember,
well, no
there are
dealers,
no dealers.
but the marketers of the cars.
Well,
The cars
but
get
no,
delivered.
they're company owned.
No,
It's
no, but
direct
I
sale.
don't know who you write the check to.
Tesla.
You wrote a check to Tesla?
I never wrote a check to Tesla,
You
but
never
people
wrote.
who buy Teslas, barring any other form of financing
the
or
person who
leasing.
delivers the car, for example, there is a delivery center outside of Boston, very close by, and a friend of mine just picked up his Model 3, which he only ordered less than 8 weeks ago, and he got it delivered, but he ordered a base model. To Jay's point of high profit equals high cost cars, he bought a 2-wheel drive Model 3. He got 2 options, the big battery pack and the AV or the driving assist program. And that's all he got, and I don't know what it came up to, but $42,000 or $43,000.
then
But they make money off the AV
and they
option
make money
because
off that, yes.
It's a, I don't know what it
It's
is.
an
in there,
electronic computer, which
but it's $2,000 and it's just software.
But my question is as follows: Did he wrote a check to Tesla? Did he write a check for $41,362.12?
whatever his car costs. he
Okay,
does.
so there's no financing.
Nope.
It's just,
I don't know how Tesla may or may not be doing financing.
or does Tesla have
I'm
its own
not sure.
financing?
They
All right.
do some,
But
and,
the whole
and then it's like the rest of the industry. I mean,
But
the money is changing hands and getting to Tesla one way or another, which is what you're talking about. And so every car that's now being delivered, Tesla's getting a check, which is offsetting the costs of building those cars and not having them in buyers' hands.
So let me
Okay.
go back to the positives, and I'll be the proponent of Tesla's,
Great.
I think, fairly bright future if it can get through the next year or two. If you look at the Model 3, some of us were skeptical and said, well, why is he coming out with another sedan in a market that is mostly changing to crossovers and SUVs? Well, the Model 3 is a premium small size sedan, and it competes directly with the Mercedes Class C, with the BMW Series 3,
A4,
with the Audi A4, the Jaguar F-Pace, F-Type or E-Type, the smallest Jaguar, and the Lexus IS250. Elon Musk made the point that in the second quarter, Tesla sold more Model 3s than all of the other manufacturers combined in that segment. They have a over 50% market share in that premium sedan market.
At $5,000 a week, I guess he can make that claim because I don't think any other none
Well,
individually are selling
yeah, it's
5,000 a week of
divided
their
up.
particular model. But I don't know.
But also,
it's
if you
a
have-
good thing to be able to boast about.
There's two things here. He is selling his cars.
right.
So
then
we
what
know
is-
they're making them. They're producing them. They're selling. And now we go off the Tesla subject if we want or not. But cars are not quite dead yet. There is
When you
talking
say
about
cars,
sedans, real
Of course,
cars.
they're not dead.
Well,
I mean, I
I
understand that it's being marketed thus, but I'm sitting here going, well, I've now lived long enough to hear the sedans are dead, and this, guess what? Sedans came back, and
And they will come
it
back.
was doing it was during an SUV. There does seem to be a massive disconnect between car marketers and what you're being told to buy right this second, and the let's just say the family making cycle of the human being.
There's high profit in the SUV line of cars, too, per car to the manufacturers because they basically don't cost any more to make than sedans. It's like pickup trucks, loaded pickup trucks versus or pickup trucks which have just a cab and a big back. That pickup bed is the cheapest component probably on a pickup truck, and the engines all cost the same no matter whether it's an A4 Audi engine or whether it's a Ford, 6 engine or whatever. I mean, yes, a bigger engine costs more than a smaller engine, but the engines in all these cars have a basic cost factor, which is the same whether you're building an SUV, a sedan, a Jeep, or a pickup truck.
Do you happen to know what the average? I'm just curious as a total civilian. What is the profit margin on the average car? Anyone have a sense?
I don't know about sedans, but I saw something about trucks the other night on news, and the potential profit per vehicle on a pickup truck, maybe fairly well laden with stuff, or maybe not, to the manufacturers is roughly $17,000
A pop.
a pop. A
Just
vehicle
curious,
coming off the line. I saw that just last night.
That's the sort of thing that I'm curious about.
And, at the end of the year, and we're going to get into end-of-year sales, the advertising has started. Year-end clearances are underway. And we said last fall when we were talking about pickup truck advertising on the television that we were seeing things. You buy special editions of the Ford, Chevys, Dodges, and you can get up to $11,000 in savings over the list price. So if they're actually making $17,000 a pickup truck and they're offering potentially $10,000 or $11,000 for special editions of these trucks, they're still coming away with $5,000 to $8,000 or more profit to the factory, which tells you that situation. But I do not know about the Fusions and all that. There's not the same margin, I can tell you.
The
and
Crusade-
the smaller the car and the more base model of the car, you get down to
The
a
smaller
base
the profit.
cost no matter what
Right.
it is of all the platforms and the cars coming off, and then the profits start piling up as the options start.
Crusader and me always thinks about, okay, great. So they've got a fairly good profit potential on that one. Plus the finance companies, just are raking it in on interest.
Well, they are, except that you're doing it through the manufacturers. You're getting 0% financing offers now on the television.
Okay.
And 0% is 0% to you and me. It's 5 years or 6 years or whatever out, and you're not going to get the $11,000 discount as well as the 0% financing because somebody's trading off some of the money.
Gee, how business savvy
Right.
of them.
But there's a lot of 0% financing. The banks may be making money on the financing situation, and the used car people who emblazoned above their signs, nobody's refused for credit. You have no credit rating, you still can get a car. And
I
don't
have
know
to
what
say,
they're paying
the other
for the
day we
interest rate on
definitely
that.
saw the Repo Man. That's got to be a good business. Yeah.
Well, it's a much easier business than it used to be because now they all have those scanners that the police have as well, with the databases that are updated live, and they just cruise around the streets and there's
can
a
find
beep
out
on
who
the
hasn't paid their
screen every time
registration.
there's a car that's
behind in something.
behind in
People-
payments, and they just send the truck, pick it up, and go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That'd be a good.
And we can go on side stories. I remember reading a couple years ago in one of the car magazines, a test of the newest and baddest repo
Gear.
flatbed, and it's pretty amazing. They can pick up a car in less than a minute. In the park, even if the car's parked in the street, they have no problems. They can pick them right up. I saw another article, or I saw a video recently. I think it's German police. They do that. Now they're not when cars are not well parked in the streets, they can pick it up. They they come alongside the car with what looks like a
sling.
forklift, and they just pick up the car and take it. It takes about 10 seconds.
Yeah, to put the
So,
forklift under the body of a car.
Rest
and
assured,
lift
our
it right
repo
up.
guys are going to get those, in the next few years. So the repo business will be good for some time to come.
Okay,
yes.
so it's just anyone looking for a career. But sorry, it's just little job fair here as part of the.
Let's go back to the end of the year sales because both Jay and I are holding in our hands the 2019 new car issue of Motor
And it's the
Trend.
same-
and they're all
it is.
and
Magazine, yes.
and they're all Car and Driver will be out with one, and Road and Track, and all of them will, which is a sign that the 18-year model year is going to become passé. Now the cover date on this is September, so we're already in September.
Of course.
For the magazine.
Yeah.
And October 1st, I believe, is the official end of in the automobile industry.
We finally got a
situation.
date.
Well, that's what it's been, I believe. It may have changed, but I'm not aware of it. But that's when the taxes, the
True.
value of the car drops. 2018 becomes old on the dealer lots, and the 2019s are.
Chill, don't wait for
Okay.
that date to become stamped.
I just thought that for the first
we have
time.
2018s and a half and 2019s
And we
and
still
a
have
quarter.
2017s on some model
Yes,
lots
absolutely.
that have not yet been sold. And they become, when I bought my 2013 Hyundai Sonata, which is what I currently have, it was 2015 when I bought that car. And I could not believe, and I'm still not sure that the car hasn't been in an accident and rebuilt. I think it wasn't, but I still cannot believe that this car did not sell all of 2013, all through 2014, and was still available when I went over with hybrid to get it serviced, and went out and made some comment about how I had seen a 13 for 8,000 off, and they said, "Oh, we still have it."
Right. Apropos,
So that's how old some cars can get on lots.
but what you said about rebuilt, and this is just something that we touched upon a few years ago, and I think that it's important that we do it again. Just with all of the water, the flood, the
Cars,
weather, it's just something that
Cars that have been in floods have a salvage title. So
Well,
when
theoretically, but there's a lot of stuff going on in the industry out there, and Jay's shaking his head in disagreement, but that's not true. It's basically true. Now, there's a place that Jay knows about that sells cars. I don't know what level they are, been in accidents or not, but cars for very good pricing, and down in Lower Connecticut.
yeah, but
And we don't know what those cars have been through. But you looked at cars on that website about 4 or 5 years ago and had some comments about it, and you thought there were some good buys there.
yeah, but so this is a company that sells cars wholesale to the public basically, and they just go do what other dealers do, and they just go and buy at auction, but they don't touch the cars. They put them on the lot and they sell them with a very slim margin, and the prices are really good. But you have to do your due diligence when it comes to each and every one of those cars.
Yeah.
I know
I wouldn't
people,
recommend going there. But,
Right.
You wouldn't recommend going there, okay.
No, but also, it's so interesting. We had this. When I say interesting, that's in quotes. But somebody had an issue with their Subaru. Different people diagnosed it differently. The air conditioning was flooding the floor of the car, and it was, you need a condenser, you needed this, you needed that. You got to go get the go to
you had a
AutoZone.
plug drain. Yeah.
So mercifully, she went to Subaru. Mercifully, Subaru got the dog hair and the crot out of the drain and cured. But
somebody else might have sold her a new.
There
There
are-
are some people.
But that's
there
true.
Are
That's always-
sometimes there are some fixes that are better known to the manufacturer's dealer body than they are to the independent. But it also
just something to
independent
be
auto
aware of.
repair station. But then there is also the reverse, as I have
Yep.
discovered. I had a cruise control problem with my Eurovan a few years ago, and I know we're going to new cars in a minute, Jay, but the Volkswagen dealer wanted to change one thing, and then I went to my independent guy, and he had to change the emergency flasher switch.
Yeah.
And that was what was triggering the malfunction of the
I had the
cruise
same thing
control.
with the VW, where an independent person saved me about $1 zillion.
Yes,
All right. So the idea that you both have, it's a showstopper. So go for it.
Jay is going to go for it.
Well, I look through every year. This is a motor trend, and they come out in two separate issues. They come out with new cars and a new
Next
cars
month it's the
issue,
trucks.
and next month it's the trucks and SUVs. So this week we can talk about the new cars, and there are a bunch of significant cars that have some significance in our markets, and I think of new models coming out. Audi has a few of them. The new A6 is coming out. The new A8 is coming out. We're talking about luxury cars, but you see quite a few of those cars here. So back to Robin's point, yes, we're going into sales season, but if you're going to buy a new car, just be aware that if you are buying, for instance, a new A6, you're probably going to be buying a car. If you're buying a new A6 today, you're buying a car that's going to be quote unquote obsolete
3 years from now.
in a few months. You're going to have a model. If the price is really good, it may be worthwhile. Sometimes we prefer the older model versus the new model. But in the case of the Audi A6 and the A8, those are beautiful new cars coming out. A6, A7, and A8. Other cars that are significant. Nissan is coming out. I know we don't see a lot of Nissan Altimas around here, but it is a popular sedan, and they're coming out with all-wheel drive on the car. So unlike a Toyota Camry or a Honda Accord, you
Which
can
does
now
not
have
come all-wheel drive.
You can have an Altima with all-wheel drive. So, we always talk about the U.S. market, but it's actually very different markets. When you look at what sells in California, and we've talked about this, and what sells here in the Northeast, it's totally different cars.
It's a big country.
It's
and
a big
Florida
country.
is likewise like California.
But there is a big too, and in a world where crossovers and SUVs are all car based, there's no reason we can't do the reverse and put all-wheel drive on
all the cars
on
Really?
a lot of sedans, which is what Audi started doing back in the
And
80s.
Subaru as well.
And Subaru as well. And guess what? Those cars actually still do sell pretty well.
And then Volkswagen did it, and then as Jill and I discussed, well, for a long time, VW dropped the all 4Motion because I suggested it was the pressure from Audi because it was taking sales away from Audi. There was no reason for Volkswagen to have dropped the 4Motion on their cars that could have had anything logical reason for doing it other than pressure from within the company. But I'm looking at the Nissan 2018 Nissan Kick. The Juke is mercifully disappearing. It's one of the ugliest cars I think I have ever seen on the road.
Right up there with the
right
Pontiac.
up Tech, exactly. But there are people that love
We
their
agreed
Juke.
on that, right?
But there's also, if you say it, even for a non-car guy, is like,
The way you say it. Yeah.
they're just, no, it's just true. I can visualize. This is the thing. I can visualize those cars going, yuck, gah.
Yeah, and
So-
there's a color combination Juke running around our area. It's sort of olive green
Well, we
and
don't wanna
yellow
hurt anybody's
decor. And I don't
feelings.
know who owns that, but she or he has got the only one that I know of probably in the whole state of Connecticut. And a friend of mine loves his Juke, and he drove to Arizona in it. And but it's mercifully gone. And I actually like the looks of this Kick, which is an SUV, arguably one of the least expensive ones. So they're going to get a lot of sales because a lot of people buy only on price because that price is important to their wallet. But the base price is under $19,000 for it, and it goes right up there with the Jeep Compass and a couple of other SUVs at that size.
Or if you remember
CX-3,
CX-3, right.
Remember the original RAV4, which was little.
the original RAV4,
Yes,
but
which
now
was
the new RAV4
Oh, no,
are
forget
in
that,
the
but it just-
mid-20s and
this-
going up.
But we're going to run out of time. But what I'm saying is, to that point, everything new has already been experimented with, because there was a point with SUVs where you needed a little teeny one for the one person and their pocket dog, and that was the original RAV4.
Yeah.
That's all.
I know, and we are running out of time, so we look at the next drives. The Honda Insight has been trying to make waves as a hybrid Prius fighter type of car. That's been
Oh, but they're
failing.
going to succeed.
But they're going to succeed with this new one.
Let me barge in on this one. Yeah,
Barge right in.
I was reading about the Honda Insight. It's the third one they come out with, and they may be getting it right.
It's
I think
because
they
of
have.
Sharp?
Visually,
Yeah,
I think
yes.
they've gotten it really right,
The
and the mileage is
Well, at least
also
they kept working
excellent.
at it.
The first one was a two-door. The second one could not compete with the Prius, and the third one is actually based on the
four-door.
Honda Civic. It's a little bigger, looks like a Honda Accord. Looks quite good actually. And actually compared to the Prius, looks a hell of a lot better.
And the highway rating for that is between 51 and 65 energy consumption, or 61 and 75 miles a gallon from low to high, and depending on the model you get in that, which is really good if the hybrids are getting up into that 60 mile per gallon range as opposed to 50, which has been the heretofore highest range that I have known.
He is Robin Leach. He is Jada Marcken. This is Car Keys. Bring back your magazines next week.
Baby, you can drive